So now we'll be announcing schedule in 3 phases. First,
The Election Commission of India on March 16th announced the dates for the Lok Sabha elections 2024. With this, the Model Code of Conduct has come into force. What is the Model Code of Conduct, or MCC? The MCC is a set of guidelines by the Election Commission of India that spells out how political parties and candidates must conduct themselves during the election campaign and polling. It instructs how the ministers of the parties in power must conduct themselves when the MCC is in force. It explains how parties can lodge complaints to the Election Commission observers in case of a dispute. The code comes into force immediately when the election dates are declared and remains till the results are announced. The MCC applies to all elections from the Lok Sabha and state assemblies to local bodies. Guidelines for parties and candidates. Candidates are advised to refrain from commenting on all aspects of private life of the leaders and workers of other parties. They must also not indulge in activities aggravating existing differences or create mutual hatred between different castes, religions, and linguistic communities. Permission for usage of public spaces and loudspeakers must be taken from local police. No political party can make any payment over Rs 10,000 in cash in a day to any person or entity. Parties must also not resort to bribing or impersonating voters. They are not allowed to transport voters to and from polling stations. Guidelines for governments. The union ministers will need prior approval of the Election Commission on any policy announcements and fiscal measures when the MCC is in force. State and union governments must keep public places available for all parties and candidates. Issue of advertisements, hoardings at the cost of public exchequer in electronic or print media, highlighting the achievements of the government is not allowed. Photographs of Prime Minister, Chief Ministers, and ministers highlighting government work should not be displayed. How is the MCC enforced? Prior to holding polls, the Election Commission issues guidelines to the government to shift out all officers who are posted in their home district and who have completed 3 out of 4 years in that district to ensure no interference. The MCC is then implemented by the newly appointed officials. No election campaigning is allowed within the constituency 48 hours before the close of polls. Is MCC a law? The MCC is not enforceable by any laws passed by the Parliament. Violating many of its guidelines may not attract punishment. However, several actions such as bribing voters or using places of worship for election propaganda are listed as electoral offences under the Indian Penal Code and the Representation of the People's Act 1951.